All right. So everybody can hear me okay? Yes. Good. All right. Whoa, man. Is everybody like super like excited after last week, but also super tired this week? Anybody else, or is it just okay? There's a couple of you. Some of you are doing great, which is awesome. I am super tired this week. Man, it's like all of it. But it's all good. So let's go ahead and get started. Man, we are 7 weeks away from like wrapping up this sales year, 7 weeks away from wrapping up this sales year, which is not a lot of time, but it's also not a little bit of time, right? 7 weeks, a lot can happen, right? So let's get started. Shout outs, anything that you guys want to shout out gratitude for, just get your hand raised up or unmute yourself. Would love to hear from you so that we can start out on a positive note. I want to give a shout out to Jen Velarde. I saw her on the call. There she is. Jen, I want to shout you out because you are focusing not only on your real estate business, which is awesome. I love it. But also Jen has, she connected me to a really great person, right? We call those people talent. And Lucia was just lovely. We got to talk yesterday. And I'm really appreciative of the fact that like not only does this help you with revenue share, obviously, because we do have that as part of our value proposition, but the second thing is like you care about Lucia, and that's awesome. And like our connections go back so far. Like Jen and Lucia went to grade school together. So I love the little connections there. You just never know where the connections are going to come from. And so Jen, I want to shout you out for growth and for leadership, and taking care of others, in your world. So I love that. Bart, I'm going to you.
I wanted to shout out Valencia. She spoke twice at Built How, both times with less than 24 hours notice to even know she was going to be speaking. And she absolutely crushed it and did amazing. It was fun to watch.
Yes. And I want to shout you out, Bart, that you see that and you shout other people out. Like you're probably one of the top people who shouts other people out. So it says a lot about you, Bart. Helen, I'm going to you, lovely.
Hey, good morning. So I'm copying Bart this morning. I wanted to shout out Jorlantha, Cynthia, Ty, and Rebecca, who are new to the Grimion group. So if you see their faces in launch, if there's anyone in Texas that's also in launch, we're just so excited to have them. They're absolutely wonderful. They have jumped like 100%, 110% all the way in, going to open houses. We did a bridal extravaganza. Some of them participated in that. And so we're super excited to have them. And shout out Katrina and Rita. Katrina has her first listing. So that goes live. I think it went live today or this morning. And then Rita had her first, oh gosh, there's so many things. I think she had her first closing on her first listing, I think, if I got that right. So
I love
just super
that.
excited.
Helen, thanks for shouting them out, because especially well, number one, in this market, like, right, like things got heavy, they got a little harder, right? And so those are very valuable shout outs. And I did see that the Grimion group grew quite a bit in the last couple of weeks. Saw lots of new faces on the social media campaigns. So congratulations to your group, and thank you, Helen, for shouting them out. Valencia, good morning.
Hi, good morning, guys. I wanted to shout out Jordan. She was on crutches the whole time, so just a huge hug virtually to her for sticking through Built Out and staying committed to that. And I also want to shout out Sarissa, Allie, and Dana. They were on an agent panel less than 12 hours notice, similar to myself, and they crushed it, and they were super cute. And it was a proud Texas moment just to hear all of the comments about like the value they brought and how cute they look doing it. So way to go, ladies.
I love that. And I am so, I think two of you so far have brought up that it was last minute. And, one of the things that we learned from Michael Phelps last week was the fact that when you know your stuff, you can be on autopilot. And last minute is like, it's just part of life. Opportunities do not show up like in this beautiful package and it's got a beautiful boat. Like that is not how life opportunities look. Life opportunities look like, hey, we've got an open spot. We need one panelist, so we need one host for this. And you literally have no time to prep. And you fall to the level of your training, your level of autopilot, right? And that's what opportunity looks like. Opportunity is not pretty, but it looks pretty once you like do it, right? Because you did a great job, Valencia and Allie and Sarissa and Dana and Maria and Casey and everybody else who was on the panel. Like, you guys crushed it. And I also know you guys had like no notice. So kudos to you guys for taking opportunity and making opportunity beautiful, because opportunity does not look beautiful in real life like we all think it does. So definitely let's normalize that, right? Okay, I love it. Well, you guys are awesome. I'm excited. This morning, we'll hear more about that. And the vision for this morning, I know we're all tired and we all have things to do. So what I was thinking about was, man, we just went to an awesome conference, or if we didn't go to it, we listened to it. And if we didn't listen to it, your teams, I'm sure, had a power up or something where you guys like talked about it. And so there's been a lot of talk about Built How, and I don't want to like beat a dead horse or anything like that. Like, you guys got plenty of stuff to do. But what I was reminded of was, oh my gosh, like we go to so many events, we get on an event high, and then we come back. And a lot of times life goes back to normal, right? And so how do we prevent that? Like, how do we implement what we heard, what we learned, what strategies we thought were great ideas, and we put a star and we highlighted them, right? Or we just thought, oh, I'm gonna do this. And I was reminded, I was sitting there and I heard a panel with Michael Perna and this guy named Austin and this girl named Sadie. And while they're on the panel, I like literally like text them. And I'm like, I want to like learn more from them and shadow them. And it's like, if I don't do it right that instant, if you don't take action really quickly, like what happens? Like it's not that you'll forget about it. You'll just like, life will happen for you, right? Like you will like, other people put things on your agenda and now it's no longer your agenda anymore, right? So I texted them and literally like they were all laughing later because like Mike's phone goes off while he's on the panel, and then Austin's, and then Sadie's, because it was in that order that I reached out to them. And so I got a chance to meet with them yesterday for 2 hours and just learn from them, because I've got a lot to learn. Like there's so much to learn, like, whoa. Some people are doing some really cool stuff. So I invited a few people who said that they had put some things in implementation mode. And the vision for this morning was not that you needed to hear 1,000 things again, but maybe you had things that you heard, maybe you had things that you underlined. And this is a good reminder. Let's go back and let's do those things. And if you didn't have those, I'm going to share a few. Some of our guests are going to share what they've implemented. So I am going to spotlight a few people for you. I've got Valencia, of course. Woo, girl. There we go. Hold on. I'll get everybody else. Although Valencia, you are beautiful. We could just do this with you. But we are an equal opportunity place around here. So we'll keep putting a few people up. Hold on one second. Let me grab everybody. And then I just want to go to you guys, and we'll make it as short or as long as you guys want to share. And then last one, here we go. And shout out to these people. These people volunteered. Like it wasn't like, let me make you do this. You guys are phenomenal. Joseph, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with you. And Joseph, like tell us, okay, so you sell in the Austin area, number one, right? And you've been in real estate how long? Just kind of lay the groundwork for us to know.
Yeah, so I'm here in Austin, and it was my first year back in April. So April of 2021 is when I started.
Okay, almost a year and a half. Congratulations. So you did go to Built How. You were there live in the audience. What have you successfully implemented just in the last week?
Yeah, so this last week, we were talking about it, and they said, I think it's Brendan Burchard that said, don't connect on a negative. And so I'm generally a pretty positive person.
Yeah, I would say, I'm going to stop right there, because if you thought oh, like this is for me. When Brendan Bouchard talked about connecting with people on the negative, you're not a negative person. Like I would never be like, oh, Joseph. Yeah, we all know Joseph. No, Joseph's a good guy, right? Okay, so what does it look like in real life? Like where were you maybe connecting on negative, and how are you switching that up?
Yeah, so a lot of prospecting calls. I think that, right now you have so many people that they see the news and they get discouraged, and everybody's like, oh, the interest rates or the war, or the state of the world, or, there's plenty of things that they can complain about. And I had a particular gentleman that was like, yeah, we had it on the market, but then, there were so many other homes that came on the market in my neighborhood and we just couldn't get what we wanted to. And, we're just going to live here, for the immediate future. Everything's in flux. And so instead of like agreeing, I was like, hey, look, thank you for telling me that, first of all. And, I'm sure there are a lot of people that feel that way. And what we're seeing is people are still buying and selling homes, so, and then got back to his motivation and was like, so what had you wanting to sell your home in the first place? And where were you planning on going once you got it sold? And he's like, well, I'm going to be moving closer to my daughter, who just moved to Anna, Texas, actually. And I was like, oh, okay, what's going on over there? He said that like in her 45 years of life, they had never lived more than like 6 miles apart. So, kind of dug into that a little bit more. And at the end of it, he's like, hey, well, we're going to be planning on selling next year, just depending on how things go. He's like, we liked our agent, but, you're great too. So I asked if I could stay in touch. I said, hey, look, would you be open to staying in touch, next year when you plan on selling your home? We can talk about it. And so got a long-term nurture, see what goes on from now until then. But yeah, just not connecting on the negative and going down that rabbit hole was one of the things that I took and implemented even more. Because
how would you have handled it like a month ago? Like how, like what would have been like the process a month ago?
Yeah, I think like being aware of what you're talking about, and you're like, yeah, man, that sucks. Like we're seeing the same thing. There's a bunch of homes for sale. There's people that in some instances their neighbor sold for so much more, but that's because it was a different market that they sold in. And, kind of almost saying like, yeah, you missed the market, even though the amount of equity that he has built in it, I think he's owned the home since 2013. And the amount of equity that he has built in it is just crazy. So I actually got into that too. I was like, well, you still have a ton of equity built into it, right? And he's like, yeah, that's true. But before, it would have been connecting on like, yeah, you're right. Like there's so much uncertainty. I can understand where you're coming from. Like I'm kind of, feeling a little bit of it too. We're seeing the slowdown, things might not sell as quickly, and not really making it so much about him and getting back to motivation. It would have been just connecting on something, and I guess building rapport through something negative.
Yeah, right. Like, and what did Brendan say about like connecting on negative? Like it kills the close, right?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Right on. I love that. And I love that you implemented it so quickly. It's hard to implement things if you don't make the calls, right? So like kudos to you for making the calls. And then second, for like using that and connecting on building him up is like what you were doing, is building him up. And whether you're a brand new agent, whether you've been doing it for a year and a half, or you've been doing it for 10 years, like this is super accurate. Thanks for sharing that this morning, Joseph.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Right on. Daniel, I'll pop over to you. You loved obviously Brandon Bouchard, which I'm really excited about because Brandon Bouchard will do a lot with Place. He's going to become one of our Place partners in leadership type things. So that's exciting for the future for all of us. What have you successfully implemented, Daniel? Like what has that looked like for you?
Well, it's coming from the same things that Joseph was talking about, and the implementation for me has been a little bit there in how I'm connecting with people and not necessarily connecting with them on the negative. And I experienced this already in my personal life and with my friends.
Right.
I have a friend that's going through something really difficult right now, and they're a lender, They're in that world. So they're facing some of the same things that agents do. And I mean, it's a big deal for him, but I really focused on trying not to connect with him in that negative part, and just honestly helping him get to that next phase. There were 3 phases that Brendan talked about. One, and it all deals with change, which can become a crisis for most people out there when it's serious enough. And when you move from that complaint part where you're kind of protecting yourself, you move into the next part, which is where most people can end up getting stuck, which is coping. So basically just trying to have a conversation with him that was surrounding more like, how do we help you cope with the change that's happening with you, and not just like, yeah, the industry, it sucks, and it sucks for you, it sucks for me, it sucks for everybody. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I was just trying to connect with him more on that other level. And it was great because by the time we were done hanging out, I mean, he just was approaching things from a completely different way. And I was really happy about that, because he's kind of struggling with his mental health of all of this. And then on another level, coming back, I've realized that I've kind of been in the coping world a lot longer than I realized. And that 3rd phase that we're aiming to get to is performance, and it's where you are the most challenged and the most energized, and only about
Was it 10%?
It's 10%.
Yeah. Does anybody remember?
10%
I don't
people get
remember
there.
how many were in coping, how many were in complaint. I didn't write that down. I do remember 10% for performance. Does anybody remember?
It was 15,
So
75.
yeah, 15, 75.
Beautiful. Gosh, so 75% of us, like most likely, like maybe you guys are special, but if we look at this call, we have 92 people on the call. 75% of us are probably in coping mode. 15% of us are probably in complaint mode, and probably 10% of us are in performance mode. And we all want to be in performance mode because that's where the good stuff happens, right? And that's where we actually get to help people and get to help ourselves. Sorry, cut you off. I just wanted to get those numbers out.
No,
you are normal. It's not that you were abnormal. You just want to be cool and excellent and awesome and everything your potential says you can be.
Right. And it was good to hear that. I mean, these are phases, and it's actually normal for everybody to experience all of them. And it's just kind of, where do you end up stuck?
How long you stay there?
Yeah, you're there not just to leave people behind in the dust. You're there to actually help pull people up. But one of the biggest things that stuck out to me that he said is that we're paid to push. So we, going back, it's just kind of really, I don't know, our team, we even covered this yesterday. Allie does a thing called Transformation Tuesdays. We talked about it, and now we're going to, over the next 6 Tuesdays, we'll be reading his Brendan Burchard's book on high performance habits, because being in that performance edge zone, it requires a challenge, and you have to be courageous in it, and you got to build your habits, be very intentional with what you're doing, or it's a slippery slope to go right back into coping. So we're just kind of wanting to take the bull by the horns going into this changing market, and come out on the other side in a far better place, where we're not just coping and surviving, but we're like living.
100%. And I love that it's not just business. It actually is in our personal life. It is our personal friends that they're dealing with the same things, right? Like just people in general, but entrepreneurs, whoa, we just, oh my gosh, blow the ceiling off of coping and complaint, just because it's easy, because we do have hard lives. I'm not saying this is easy, right? And just as an aside, lenders it's a fact that they are having a very hard time, harder than realtors, right? Because a realtor, you can go out there and you can change your entire business by prospecting and doing open houses, right? But lenders in general haven't been taught how to do those things. They wait on the realtor to give them the business, right? It's a very reactive versus proactive approach. And so if you've got a great lender out there that's just not, obviously the market has shifted, and they're great lenders, it might be worth an introduction to BKCO Mortgage. and maybe that is an opportunity for them. And I say that because we had 2 people that we brought into to the mortgage company from the Austin area. Yvette recommended one, and another one's from my Acton Moms group. They're awesome lenders, and the market has completely just affected them, and they want to stop coping and they want to get in performance. So there's opportunities out there for everybody. Like, the market will not stop because there will be people who buy and sell, which is awesome. I'm really, really happy. Like, we get paid to push. I did not write that down. So we get paid to push, and you're right. You're right. And we use the word push, and sometimes we don't like that word, right? Like, it has a negative potential connotation, but in reality, right? Like, sometimes people need help getting out of their coping. Sellers need help with that. Buyers need help with that, because all they're seeing is high interest rates. So man, I love that. I love that. I love that you're doing that in your personal and your business life. We want to hear more about high performance habits in the future. After you guys finish reading it, would love to hear your ahas on it. I haven't read it myself. My kids think I'm crazy. They've read it. So watch out for this new generation, man. They're coming in hot over here, and they're gonna take over. I asked my kids, do you have any questions for Michael Phelps? Because I'm gonna be in a room with him. And they were like, no, but can you ask Brendan Bouchard these questions? And I was like, oh, that's cute. Like, Michael Phelps and Brendan Bouchard. I mean, that's cool. They know where the priorities are, apparently. I love that. Valencia, man, I don't know where you shop, but if everything else failed for you in life, like, you have style and you can do anything. You are the most stylish gal that we have on our Texas Power Up every single Thursday. Thank you for leveling us up.
Thanks. Fun fact, my major from college is in fashion design.
What?
Manufacturing. What? Yeah, so thank you. My dad would be proud to hear that I look cute because he paid for college. Okay. My takeaways are from Lucas Sheridan's his speech, or his talk on how to who. And it was very important to me, and it hit home both personally, like Daniel touched on, and professionally, because he gave 5 keys on how to who. And I've kind of broken them down to see how they could be applicable as an inside sales agent and in my personal life. So his first one, the first question was, who must I become in order to blank? So that blank is whatever you wanted to accomplish. So the way I implemented that was our 90-day letter, which Jordan always pushes us to kind of think ahead and plan for our future. So who must I become? So that's the internal. What do I need to do mentally, physically, spiritually to prepare to who I want to become? And Sarissa even touched on her panel of you attract and you kind of like deflect those people. So it's like, who do I want to become to attract better people, and who do I need to repel? The second one is, who must I help? So that's like the external look. Who do I need to help? And what comes to mind as an agent is those people that are absorbing all of the chaos, whether they're listening to the news or that one family friend that's halfway in real estate or just the panic in the market. So those are the people that I need to seek out externally to go and help, to use those, scripting skills to help ease their concerns and kind of turn them back in the right direction so I can still help them manage their wealth in real estate. The second one is really, the third one is very strategic. It is, who must help me? Because one of the resounding things that built How was partnership. So who in my world, on my team, who needs to help me? And one of the people that stuck out the most was Jesse at BK Co Mortgage, a really great lender that has so much information that can help us retell the story and ease concerns, just because he's in the business and he knows what's going on with the rates, the numbers, the market, all of those things. And he could kind of get best, like both sides, as what the agents are seeing and what the consumer sees, to help us kind of smooth out all the wrinkles. The fourth one is more socially. Who must I surround myself with? So it kind of goes back to partnership. Who needs to help me? Who needs to be around me? And then the fifth one is purposefully. Who must I avoid? And this is very difficult. And so 4 and 5, my strategy behind it was this question of, is this drama or production? And so Jordan brought that to me yesterday. And I even started asking people in the office when they pop in to ask me a question or they come in the office, I ask, hey, whoa, is this drama or production? So if you're bringing me drama, I don't need it. We only got 7 weeks left. I don't have time to play right now. But if it's production, sure, let's talk about it. Let's strategize. Let's have a quick brain dump session to fix it and move forward. But if it's drama, I need you to press pause and we'll pick it up on the weekend or something. But those were the things that really stuck out to me at Built House, just to be sure that I'm learning how to who and taking it to another level. So that way all the people in my world could benefit from it.
Man, I love that. How to who, like that's such a, I love that presentation, because like we like ask anybody, everybody wants to be a leader. And number one, we're a leader of ourselves first. And I love that, like, it's not anybody else, but Valencia is like, who must I become, right? Who must I become? Because like, we can't control the person next to us in the next office, right? Like, hopefully they're great and hopefully they're not bringing you drama and it's only production. But like, at the end of the day, we control us, right? And I love that. Who must I avoid? Ooh, well, how do you do that? Like, oh, do you have any, okay, so do you have any advice for what if, not in the office, obviously in the office, everybody's great, but maybe like in your like home life and your friend life, like is everybody like a diehard supporter of Valencia? And if
Absolutely not. No,
okay,
they're not.
how do you handle that?
When it's someone that doesn't align or support my goals or even to help me, then I have this awesome ability to deselect. And I'll say, hey, Adelina, this isn't what I need right now. We'll pick this back up later. Or where I'm trying to go, you're not helping me get there. So I'll just catch you later. And I will literally bow out. I will walk away in the middle of a conversation because I want to protect, like Ben says, your hourly rate. I want to protect my goals. And Jordan taught me a really long time ago to like dismiss the distraction. And even if I have to walk away from it physically, I can't let that distraction, because if you allow it, it'll take you down that rabbit hole, like Daniel mentioned, or Joseph mentioned. It'll take you, and they won't apologize. They won't help you make up the goals or cut you a check because you missed your financial, goal. They won't help you.
They're not going to cut you a check?
They're not, Adelina. They don't care. So dismiss the distraction, bow out gracefully. You don't have to be a jerk, even though sometimes you do. Like, you're not helping me, get out my face. But you have to dismiss the distraction because they'll just take you.
I love that. Okay, if you somehow zoned out, that was a bad time to zone out. Is this drama or production? We ease people's concerns, dismiss the distractions. All right, man, awesome. Love that. Good panel so far. Dana, morning.
Hey.
We got all the dead animals back there. It's awesome. There you go. Ben would be proud. Ben would be very proud. He's probably on this call right now, probably clapping. Just kidding. Okay, how did everything look for you at Built House? Like, what'd you come back with?
So Brennan Bouchard was, of course, my favorite. But what I felt was the most impactful to me and my team is I noticed that like all the high performers and all the big producers and whatnot seem to be taking advantage of all of the tools that Place has to offer. Like all the cadences, for example, like they were doing call
give us
night.
Examples of like, what are cadences? If people like zoned out during that time.
Like all the reoccurring like call night, for example, being one, inventory creation day, 1,000 dial day, like all the big days that Place has on repeat each month or each quarter and that sort of thing. They were taking advantage of those at a very high level and doing those at a high level, and their team loved them. So like I had were you guys doing that like with your team? Were you guys, how often were you like, let's say call nights, for example, how often were you really, and this is safe, nobody's gonna like tell on you, it's gonna be on YouTube later, don't worry about it. How often were you guys doing call nights? Just start us off there. Call night is the one that we were actually doing. That's one thing we implemented well this year. So we were doing it at the first Monday of the month.
Okay, so you were doing it, you weren't doing it during the Place time, but you were doing one.
Yes, we were doing it the first Monday of the month, but we weren't doing like Brevity Health Day, or we weren't really participating in the 1,000 dial day or the 15th protocol, or like some of the simple things like the 15-minute tracker at the beginning of each month. There's all of those things. And so when I'm there and I'm all excited and I'm wanting to bring this back to the team and say, like, we really got to do these things. My drunk monkey was saying, man, my team's not going to want to do this. This is a lot of work. Like, so we have our weekly meetings on Tuesdays. So Tuesday I came in and I apologized to him and I'm like, hey, like, I haven't been the leader that y'all all need to take you into the market that we're headed into. And I explained, like, I wanted to implement some changes. And so one of the things we were going to change was, instead of having call night on the first Monday, we were going to have it like probably the third or the fourth or so, because we wanted to implement inventory creation day at the beginning of the month. So one of my team members, Dwayne, he's like, well, if we're going to be changing it to the third or the fourth Monday, maybe we need to do it again this month. And so I had buy-in. So that made me, like, my heart so happy. And it kind of reiterated what someone said on stage, like, yeah, and Sarissa even touched on this, like, talent will be attracted. And so, I mean, I just loved that when I told them, like, hey, here's how we're going to plan it. They were very open to this.
I love that. I was giving a presentation yesterday, and we were talking about the last market rewarded speed. The last market rewarded speed. This market rewards skill and consistency. And if we are only doing speed right now, and we're missing out on building that consistency and building out our skill, like, the market will eat us alive. And we get a choice in this market. In any market, we can be a victim or we can be a victor of the market. Either way, we have a choice, right? And I love that you said cadences that are reoccurring, because that's called consistency, right? Like, there's a reason that top teams, and you know what's funny? These top teams, I've grown up with all of them. Like, they're not special. Nobody's special. Like, they're just normal people that just get consistent in the cadences. They get consistent in the lead generation, consistent in the lead follow-up, right? Consistent in call nights, consistent in 1,000 dial day, because there's a reason for all of it. It's not like randomly Chris is over there like, how can we make their life harder? Like, I promise you, definitely not doing that. Dana did not come back on the airplane and was like, how can I really stress out my people? All right, let's do some more call nights. Like, that was not what happened, right? So I love that. I love that. So right now, like, are you guys, there is a call night, obviously, like, whenever you guys, we choose to do it on the call night that place is doing it, just because then it's like more people, but you can do a call night whenever you want. Why would you do a call night, Dana? What's the reason for a call night? Because you're already lead trading in the morning. Like, why would you do a call night? What's the point of it?
To keep the camaraderie of the team, to knock out things that you're behind on. Like this week, when we had our call night on Monday, we kind of had a subject of, we have a photos with Santa event coming up. And so we kind of knocked it out and started inviting people, and save the dates went out and that sort of thing. So I don't know, we actually enjoy getting together, and it was something that, again, my drunk monkey said they're not going to like, but we've done it really well this year.
I love that. I love that. I want to share with all of you guys, because there's still a lot of you on the call. Congratulations to all 92 of you who are still here. I want to share with you what Ben, how Ben looks at this, right? If you want to write it down, here was his original vision. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying this was the original vision, and y'all just pop in, because at the end of the day, like, your success is a result of what you choose to do. Now, we might think that our success is because of other people, or when we're not successful, it's also because of other people. But at the end of the day, right, it's not that something can't throw us off. Oh my gosh, things throw us off all the time. But at the end of the day, success is dependent on what we do. So here was his original thought around this. He said, call nights, like, the vision for it is we call buyers, right? Inventory creation day, who do we call?
Sellers.
Sellers. Yes, the great participation. Mass action day is to call a lot of people, like everybody, anybody. He's never said it's got to be buyers or it's got to be sellers. He just said, get into mass action, see what you're made of. Because once you get into mass action, your 20 contacts a day is like normal, easy, right? And that's hard to say, oh, it's easy when you're only doing 5 or 20 a week, right? But the reality is like 20 is not hard when you believe that that is your job, when it is your business. And we all want 6-figure incomes, right? Like, and if you don't want a 6-figure income, like you probably didn't join this team. You probably wouldn't be on this call, or you might be on here as a guest, but you're probably not on any of the teams, right? And it's not because it's about money, because it's not about money, right? But it is about like your potential, right? And it is about like inflation has gone up. Like, what are we at? Like 9.7% or something, right? Like your 100,000 is not even worth 100,000 anymore. Like it's below that, right? So, and then we do like a Brivity Health Day a couple times a month, and that's to catch up on Brivity stuff, right? Like we all have categories that we're just behind in, right? Number one, if you're behind in anything, you're human, right? The problem isn't being human. The problem isn't being behind. The problem is not doing anything about it, right? And so I love that. I love that. I don't know anyone doing the 15-minute tracker. I would love to say we're doing it. That's something we need to improve on, Dana. I'm so glad I wrote it down, actually. And here's why I say that. I was talking to a lot of our top agents, and we talked about like, there was a week where we talked about, let's kind of take the business model and just say, oh man, like, okay, we're working our sphere. What does that mean? Right. And we would say, well, working our sphere means that, we call them once a quarter. It means that they're on a market report and a listing alert. It means that, we're sending them a handwritten note a couple times a year. It means that, we're inviting them to an event, or we're calling them to say happy birthday. Right. And when we broke it down like that, like we were working our sphere like 20-30%. We weren't working our sphere, right? Like I could go in and see like, half our people didn't call their sphere all year. So let's just, talk about that. But then we talked about like, well, how long does it take you per week? And it'd be like 30 minutes. And then we went down to open houses and we're like, we spend like 4 hours there. Okay, we go into prospecting, maybe we spend 5 hours there. Go to internet leads, maybe we spend 2 hours there. And you look up and you're like, wow, that was a 10-hour work week. What happened to 30 hours? The other 30 hours, right? So it's not a judgment. It's just like you said, it's either drama, Valencia, or it's production. And like right now we're like we're so busy, right? And like busyness is natural to us. Productive isn't natural, but we want to get purposeful because we want to, like, you don't make 100 grand by default. You make it by design. So man, that's awesome. You guys are awesome. Cool. Anybody have anything else to share before we wrap it?
So one of my favorite notes that I wrote down is the condition of your database is what is important, not the size of it.
Ooh. Say that again. The condition
that your database is in, meaning like the market reports, how much you communicate with them. It's not just having the people's info and doing nothing with it. It is the condition of your database is what will make us succeed in this market we're headed into.
You know what I see a lot of, and maybe not you, maybe Dana, maybe you have a perfect team. I do not currently have a perfect team, so I'll just talk about my imperfect team. Perfect people, imperfect results sometimes. I'll go in at the end of a day in Brivity, and I'll see like a lot of nurtures added, which high five, we add nurtures, right? Like I'll see, 30, 40 nurtures added that day from our team. And then I'll go in, and I kid you not, 90% don't have an email address. So we can't put them on a listing alert, can't put them on a market report, right? They do have a phone number, but out of those, probably 70-80% don't have a task associated for the next conversation. So we add these 30-40 nurtures, and I'm sure I've done it before too. So like, this isn't a dig at anyone. This is just a, let's enlighten ourselves. You add your nurtures, and if you add a nurture, but you don't have a task to ever follow up, you didn't grab an email address to ever send them to a listing alert or a market report, man, that was a lot of work for a nurture that most likely won't pan out to anything. So like, do any of you have any like feedback on how to get those email addresses better or how to set up tasks better, because that is something that's the quality of our database is so important. The size matters, but quality matters more. Like it's pointless to have 2,000 people if it's not of good quality. Anybody, like, how are you guys getting email addresses?
Sometimes when I'll have like maybe a newer agent or somebody that they're having a harder time calling or getting those things from people, what I normally just remind them of is if you ask for those things, the only thing that they could say that might be negative to you, okay, there could be some choice words, but usually it's just no. But they already said no if you never asked them. So if you just go ahead and ask the question or reach out for the information, most people are going to be relatively open to give it to you. And especially if maybe when you first tried to get it, you didn't show the value that you could bring. But once you've done that and then you follow up, that you're going to get something over of value to them, they'll be open to share it with you. You just need to come from a place of positive intent. You actually are really there to help people. And if you can look at it from that angle, yeah, our job involves things that we don't love about it, like cold calling and things like that. But if we're actually trying to help them, we just need them to understand that we're there really to do that. And we're coming from a positive place, and ask more than once until they give it to you. And if they don't, then you probably weren't going to work well with them anyway.
I hear that. Any Valencia, Dana?
Yes, for getting emails for our sellers or homeowners, I love to tell them like, hey, Adelina, I know you're really in tune with things that happen in your neighborhood, and I don't want you to miss anything. We send out monthly market reports so you can see exactly what's happening. What's the best email address so I can send that information to you?
Did that sound normal, guys? Was that super weird? Okay. When this goes up on YouTube, y'all go over to minute 44, and y'all grab that. Okay, good.
And the same thing for our buyers. Like, hey, there are so many homes going up that meet your criteria, and I want you to see them all. What's the best email address that I can send you the list of properties that match what you're looking for?
Beautiful, beautiful. Love that. Sarissa, I saw a hand.
She's not asking, can I have your email address? She's asking, what's the best email address so I can give you this? I think there's definitely a difference there. But I was thinking, as everybody was talking, you know, I don't remember who said this, but it was like the best way to get out of that state of anxiety is to get into action. And getting into action will actually remove any angst you have about the market or about what's gonna, you know, how you're gonna get your next deal or just whatever. Like getting into that action literally will take it away. So I would just encourage people, if they're feeling that, what can they do about it? Get into action.
Right on. I love that, man. Okay, so kudos to all you guys who shared this morning. Kudos to everybody who was very interactive. Chat box was hopping this morning. You guys must not be as tired as me. Jaime, I see your hand. I'll go to you real quick.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share this real quick. Last week while we were in Phoenix, I had a Brivity, a Brivity audit with Carrie, and we had 1,600 people with names and email addresses that weren't on listing alerts. And she's like, we can take care of all of that for you. And I was like, you know what, just do it. And I connected with somebody I went to college with who lived out of state. And she said, she unsubscribed, but she said, it's funny that you send this, but like you crossed my mind the other day. And that, it brought up a conversation. And the biggest one is that sent somebody listing alerts and come to find out they're shopping for a $700,000 house and they have a $2 million house to sell.
Oh,
they're downsizing from 7,000 square feet to 4,000.
I feel your happiness, and I would have felt your pain if you were not the choice for them, because guys, people have a lot of options. And man, great share. We'll end on that. You guys are amazing. Appreciate you so much. We'll see you again next week. Have an awesome rest of your week. Put some of this stuff into action. Go get it. 7 weeks left. Bye, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Joe.